So welcome. Today's conversation is about anxiety and the next generation of mental health. So Abby, I'd like to pose to you to kind of just give your synopsis on what that looks like now compared to your career history.
Starting off big. Yeah. So first of all, thank you for having me. This is a really, really important conversation to have. This next generation regarding mental health with anxiety, but not just anxiety, depression. We're seeing so many young people suffering. And I think, a lot of it isn't just due to, social media and, different ways that we're progressing, but I think the pandemic also has played a very, very large role, a bigger role than I think we're giving it credit for. So I'm really, really happy to be here and to have this conversation with you all.
So to open it up to all of you, what does anxiety look like and how does it differ from stress? Because some people might think it's one and the same, but it's actually not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. So I mean, anxiety in its simplest form, anxiety is just a fear of the future, right? So it's fear of the future. And when we're experiencing stress, we release stress hormones, and those hormones produce the symptoms that we know as anxiety. And so, anxiety is, having feelings of nervousness or a sense of like impending doom or having panic. You'll have a rapid heartbeat, increased breathing. You have a hard time being present because you're worried, about whatever's coming in the future, trouble, with sleeping, feeling dissociated. Yeah, all the symptoms.
I know personally, I literally just dealt with this. So this is I want to say like last week, personally, just thinking about like the future. I ended up picking up a book called The Power of Now. And and so it was so funny to find out like it's all just projections. You know what I'm saying? Like I know me and my brother, as well as one of my the other partners, Rio Lowe's, we start taking it like extremely seriously at 16, and I'm 28 now. So like it's different like milestones that I think I gotta get to at a certain age. So like certain things I'm like, yo, I'm behind on, or like I'm not there yet. So I'm constantly trying to get there as quick as I can. And the thing is, in the present, there's nothing I could do about it. Right. So my thoughts just weigh on me. You know what I'm saying? Like I sit there and I'm trying to figure it out. And I didn't realize that's been a lot of my stress factor. A lot of my anxiety is just coming from just being like, yo, accept what you can at the moment. Acceptance is a hard thing. So like accept what you can actually do at the moment. Mm-hmm. Once you could do that, let everything else go. You know what I'm saying? And like, are you doing what you're supposed to do at this very present moment? You know what I'm saying? Be present in that. And then from there, right, like if you can just sit down at this very moment and write a plan, that's all you could do. You could just write the plan. You might not be able to get to everything on the plan, you know what I'm saying? But if I just stop right now and just focus on where I'm at and be present in this moment, I don't really have to stress about everything else in the future. And I don't have to have regret about anything in the past, just dealing with the moment. So that's something that's definitely been helped me out within that past week.
Yeah, I feel like from my past experiences with anxiety, and even when it does come up at sometimes, because sometimes like stuff trigger me, I'll be like, damn, I didn't even see that coming, you know what I'm saying? But I feel like it's, when I'm worried about something or stressed about something, like recently, like flying on planes for some reason, that's be worrying me a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But it passed when I get off the plane, you know what I'm saying? Or it passed midway through being on the plane, you know what I'm saying? But the anxiety felt like more internal when I had anxiety. Like when the anxiety was striking, it would be a thing that like I couldn't really like separate from. It was always there, and then sometimes it'd flare up more, but it was like a consistent state of worry and stress for me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And then it really wasn't until like I acknowledged like, damn, I'm like relax. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm like this all day. You know what I'm saying? Like let me relax. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of felt like anxiety was just like the things I internalized. Some of the traumas I may have experienced.
Yes.
And I internalized it and I carried it with me for a long time. And it really wasn't until like I got to tackling that, like kind of like walling up them, you like yellow tape off certain parts of your mind. Yes. You know what I'm saying? So like some of them areas was just like, I'm gonna leave that alone, you know what I mean? But I think that's really where the anxiety was coming from. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like for me, I would kind of categorize anxiety as more, not so much external, but more so an internal fear that just sticks with you. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. 100%.
So I think that's a perfect segue because I'd love to know what are some common triggers? How might they show up in our lives physically and mentally?
For triggers, so it's interesting because with things like anxiety and depression, the unfortunate part is that some people do have a predisposition to experience it, and that could be genetic, could be if you had a difficult childhood or difficult adolescent. But regardless, anxiety is caused by a big event that happens in your life or a lot of small stressful events, right? Cumulative. So, it could be anything like a death in the family, or it could be dealing with school, or worries about finances, or romantic relationships, or friendships. All of these things can cause anxiety. And it's not as easy as them just saying like, oh, just deal with it. Just kind of like, oh, just think about something else, or, just move on, because we have a certain predisposition towards it. We're going to deal with it differently.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I'll be very transparent. I'm literally learning day by day on how to deal with anxiety, because I come from a background like we don't even talk about that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
One of my homies just had like a very heavy anxiety or a panic attack, like one of the ones where like he had to go like leave the crib and then go somewhere else for like a couple of days. And when he got back, we was just talking about it, and he was like, "Yo, like I thought I was having a heart attack." You know what I'm saying? And he was like, "Yo, like I called him up. I called the boys up like, hey, y'all had to come get me. I think it's a wrap for me." You know what I'm saying? But they was like, "Nah, you literally." Once they got there, he was like, "Yo, you just having a panic attack and stuff like that." And when he sat down, he was like, "Yo, this ain't nothing I ever addressed." Because we literally be like, that's for white people, or like in this community, you know what I'm saying? It's like, that's for white people, or whatever the case is. Like, that's not a real thing. And when I was sitting down, I chopped it over with my mom. I called her up, and I'm like, she like, yo, what's going on with you? She can always tell, like, whenever something, wrong with me, even like when they can't, So I'm like,
You just don't be talking.
or I ain't telling nobody, you know what I'm saying? So finally I was like, yo, you know what? I'm going through this, that, and the third. And one of the particular things, I'm married. So one of the particular things I was like, I was telling her like, damn, bro, I didn't grow up in a structure where like I seen like a 2-parent household. So I got an idea in my head of how it's supposed to go. Like my ideal image is like, yo, I got everything. I can take care of everything. You know what I'm saying? Like my wife ain't doing this. She ain't doing da-da-da-da. And so there's times when I've been able to supply that, and then there's times when I'm not. And it's always the moment when I'm not where I start to feel like it's just so much pressure on me. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like it's tons of pressure on me. And I'm like, I'll be trying to like, I try to weather it different ways and try to internalize it. And I'm like, yo, I got this idea like as a man, you're supposed to, But yeah, so when I sat down with her and I talked to her, she was like, yo, I don't think you've ever come to the place where you got to accept that you're not there yet. You know what I'm saying? Like so that's one of the things that just really, I want to say like this past couple months that's really like targeted me, hit me, is like, yo, acceptance of where you at first and foremost, because you can't do nothing about it until you accept it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I feel like as artists, you want to do this, you want to do that, and third, you got these grand ideas. You know what I'm saying? I'm an idea man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm always constantly like, man, give me a little bit of, you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, so it's like it's really coming to that place of like, yo, accept that you might not be there yet, and that's okay. You know what I'm saying? And like, once you can tell yourself that, because I feel like I'm beating up on me, you know what I'm saying? It really ain't nobody else. Like when you say that internal situation, I can understand what you're saying, because it's me, you know what I'm saying? Like conversations, I might be having a conversation with them, my partners or whatever the case is. I ain't really listening though, you know what I'm saying? I got like a whole bunch of things I'm thinking about. I'm not really there. And then, but like once I sat down and I was able to accept like, bro, you not there yet, that's okay. You'll get there, you know what I'm saying? Like, but you're not there yet. Man, I felt all that pressure just completely ride off me, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, for sure.
That's ill, man. Have you hear that, my boy?
Oh, yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I think like for me, triggers was like, again, for me, it was like echoes from stuff that happened as a little kid. It's wild, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's for me, like, I can't really say anxiety really plagues me in my adult life. I think because I feel more in control, I guess, maybe, you know what I'm saying? Like when you're a kid, you're just not really in control of a lot of stuff. And so it's like, I remember being a kid and it was just regular stuff that I wanted, you know what I'm saying? Like, this regular stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like, or stuff that you think as a kid is supposed to be normal. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I see this on TV, it's supposed to be like this, da da da. And it's so outside your control. And then like, I ain't never really like, you know, you could see a scar on the body, you know what I'm saying? So you can like, that's normal. But it for me, it's like them wounds on your psyche and the wounds on your heart, like you don't really notice it. So when something like, if you had an open wound and something, you kind of be guarding that, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, don't touch it. I just broke my arm. It's like, wow, watch out. You know what I'm saying? But you might have, like for me, I might have had emotional damage on me that I didn't even know I had. So, like, little stuff that might jab at, I'm like, ooh, like, I react crazy to it. And I don't even know where that came from. Like, I had an experience, like, not too long ago with, like, somebody I really hold dear. And I realized one of my triggers is disappointment. Like, I just don't like to be disappointed. It hindered me in even getting in relationships. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't even do the relationships. Didn't even know why. You know what I'm saying? I just wouldn't like nobody get close to me because I was born with a twin. So I know like what a ride or die is. You know what I'm saying? I know like I'm cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, this nigga popped in here with me. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. So like my expectations is wild high. I'm like we don't like, man, we got a slogan. No new niggas. Like, yo, like we cool. Like we just don't do it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm even learning like even that ain't healthy. You know what I'm saying? Because like, as a person, as a human being, if you a good person, it's a whole tribe out there for you. So you sitting over there, you like, no new niggas, and you blocking your blessings. This new nigga could have helped you do this, and this new person could have helped you do this, and you sitting there wondering why it ain't working, but you sitting there blocking all your blessings. You know what I'm saying? So I had to realize, like, for me, kind of again, like I said, like kind of retracing some of them joints. Like for me, if I'm being honest, you know, like, I ain't really grow up with the health, with like my ideal situation with my pop. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't exactly what I wanted it to be. Good dude, but like everybody got their course in life. You know what I'm saying? So it can't judge them. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, damn, if I would have had kids that young, I don't know. You know what I mean? But I had found myself one day, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, damn, like I feel like God had been telling me, like, yo, your next chapter for development is out of the mind, it's into the heart. You know what I'm saying? And I had got that. I was wondering, I'm like, damn, like, it took a minute for me to figure out how to do the mind thing. I'm like, damn, how you figure out the mind? You know what I'm saying? That took a while. Then when it got to the heart, I was just like, this is such a new space for me. I don't even know how to even start getting there. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and he told me go inward. And so I remember I get to this whole thing, and I end up getting triggered one time by disappointment. And it felt completely unrelated. But I peeped, it was by my pop. Like, it wasn't even a person. It was some simple shit, but it was by my pop. And me and my pop cool, you know what I'm saying? But I had called him, and I had to realize, like, I'm like, yo, like, you know what? Because sometimes I'll say to myself, sometimes, like me and him, I'll tell him, like, yo, sometimes I'll be like, man, my pop passed, I'll be all right. You know what I'm saying? Like, my mom, I die, I wouldn't be able to make it. You know what I'm saying? But my pop passed, I'll be cool. You know what I'm saying? And I think that was a way of me, like, telling myself, like, yo, brace yourself, because you're going to really be crushed when that nigga pass one day if you don't tighten up and, like, get it to where you want it to be. You know what I'm saying? Or just tell him how you really feel. And once I told him, like, yo, like, I love you like a little kid again, it opened my heart. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I say I like to say, like, when it comes to them triggers, you really don't know what's gonna trigger you, because it's a lot of things that can echo whatever broke your heart or whatever scarred you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't really pinpoint it sometimes because you didn't even know that was that big of a deal. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not an easy place to be at, but go back, and if you can talk to the person and forgive, do that. If you can't, if the person dead or gone or whatever the case may be, or it's just too hard to do it, forget that in your mind. You know what I'm saying? Like, have that conversation, picture it. Yo, I forgive you. You know what I'm saying? And then sometimes even forgiving yourself. You know what I'm saying? I remember I was mad at myself for like holding on for so long. You know what I'm saying? So I would say it's very important to like forgive yourself, forgive the situation. It happened. You know what I'm saying? Take the jewels that come from it, because, you know, pressure make diamonds. You know what I'm saying? And you know that it'll never happen to your kid. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be a better person and make sure that the generation moving forward is just keep getting better and better and better. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sorry to take up all that time like that, but yeah, there we go.
I want to say one thing about what you just said. And that's what you just talked about in terms of like the triggers happening and you don't know where they're happening from, and disappointment, and you realize it's from your, something with your dad. Mm-hmm. That is something that's so common, because what happens is when you experience trauma, you're in a state of like hyper or hypoarousal, and so your brain doesn't properly integrate the memory, doesn't properly integrate the experience. And so if you can think of like tabs open on a computer, they just kind of stay open.
Damn. That's crazy.
And so then what can happen is you're having an experience, and then that tab gets opened up, and you're like, oh my God, why do I feel so angry with this person? Like, the way that I'm feeling doesn't fall in line with what they did, but I am devastated.
Right.
And it's because that tab got open.
That's
tough.
crazy.
That's tough. That makes so much sense. That makes so much sense. For real.
Okay, so our next question is, how does being, and this is more for you guys, how does being creative, making music, writing, your outlet, how does that help you with anxiety?
I could start off and say like that's the main place where I'm in the moment. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm locked in. Like when I'm writing rhymes or whatever the case is, or we coming up with new ideas, or we just powwowing about like this, that, and the third. It's like I'm there. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not thinking about if it's gonna be successful. I'm not thinking about is this the hardest shit I ever wrote. I'm not thinking about nothing. I'm just having fun. You know what I'm saying? My uncle, he always give us game like, my nigga, are you having fun? Like that's his number one question in anything we doing. And it's so easy to be like, yeah, but like we trying to get this money. You know what I'm saying? Like it's so easy to think about all this other shit, but you realize like, nah, if you put priority right, like and you actually do the priority list, that's where everything is birthed from. You know what I'm saying? Like when you started doing whatever y'all trying to do, it didn't come out of like, honestly, if you was just f***ing with it, you know what I'm saying? Like you press the piano, you like, oh, that's kind of dope. You know what I'm saying? Like you start hitting a couple keys, you like, I'm kind of nice, hold up. You know what I'm saying? So you start playing with it and you like, yo, it's fun. This is a place where I'm like in the zone, I'm in the moment. You know what I'm saying? So I know for sure for me personally, it completely removes like stress, depression. It's the biggest thing to get me out of those things until I start putting it in places of business and stuff like that. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, same thing. I was gonna say the same thing. I think it's a meditative practice when you're being creative. Like you said, it puts you in the now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's that for real.
And to piggyback on that for all of you, what role does, whether it's exercise, physical activity, and diet play into managing anxiety? Because I know especially you guys have such a health conscious lifestyle.
I ain't even gonna hold you. I don't know where they connect like that. If I'm being honest, I feel like working out and eating healthy and stuff like that. For me, I kind of grew up not working out, but I grew up like kind of eating a bit more healthier. And what it does do outside of like anxiety and stuff like that, like I stopped eating meat, and I realized when I stopped eating meat, I stopped feeling so carnal. In like multiple areas, like my thoughts would just be kind of like, not to be like too much with it. So I kind of keep it like to say this part, but I'll just say that my thoughts are a lot darker. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then when I lightened up off eating that type of stuff, I just felt like all that darkness, that kind of like dark thoughts, and nothing like too crazy, but like just dark thoughts that you wouldn't normally realize are a part of your diet. Like it didn't say like you are what you eat. I realized like, okay, cool, I didn't have that anymore. You know what I'm saying? So, and then the working out just builds discipline. I think discipline is important in anything you're trying to do. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely feel like it's all connected for sure. Like I kind of look at life like it's just this one big thing made up of just a lot of small things. And I think the mind is the same way. You know what I'm saying? I feel like if you eat healthy, you exercise, then you're gonna have a strong body and a healthy body, which is the smaller things version of a strong mind and a healthy mind. You know what I'm saying? Not only that, but like that lifestyle, it allows you to disassociate from your mind more times than not, because there's gonna be days when you don't feel like working out, but you still did it. So that show you that you're not your mind, you're the operator of the mind. There's gonna be days you want to eat some whack shit, but you didn't. You know what I'm saying? Right. So it show you like, I think it's just a good, like he said, the discipline element. Like I feel like anxiety is a state of your mind being in control of you and you not being in control of your mind. So if you could learn to like control your body using your mind and apply your mind for you and for your behalf, then you're not a slave to it. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's gonna put you in a power position to be like, all right, you know what? Nah, this shit bugging out. I'm not okay. Let's get this together. You know what I'm saying? And then you start to figure things out. So I think exercise and eating right is a huge important part to it.
Yeah, everything you guys just said is so right on. And you know, when you have a lot of stress, you're kind of changing your brain chemistry. And you're you're affecting your stress response and you're making it hyperactive. So you have this hyperactive stress response, right? So what happens is when you're even faced with like a mild disturbance, you don't know how to deal with it because your stress response is hyperactive. So you have a lot of cortisol. So what diet and exercise can do is it can help lower those levels and add in things that you need to combat that. So if you can think of like you're making a cocktail and you got too much of something, you need some more of something else, right? So when you exercise, you're giving yourself more serotonin, which is essentially the happy hormone. Right. You're getting more endorphins, which will help you sleep. You're regulating your adrenals, which will help relieve stress. So there's a few things more powerful, I think, than meditation and diet and exercise when dealing with anxiety and depression.
And then let's move on to a couple more questions. And one would be, especially in this, the generation we're living in now, how social media and technology plays on anxiety levels, and how can we all use them more intentionally and mindfully?
I would love to hear.
Oh, that's a big one, right?
Yeah.
That's big because, we're all having that side because we all know. We all know that, like, this isn't good, but it is so addicting. It's like we can't stop. We know, but we can't stop. Right. And it's just, it's that you're chasing that dopamine hit, right? Just constantly like, what's next? Up, down, right? And then you're living in this constant world of comparison. And what's so crazy about that is, studies have shown that even if you feel better than what you're looking at, if you're like, oh yeah, I'm doing better than that person, it still makes you depressed and anxious.
Oh, wow.
It's not just if you feel like you're doing worse, because you're living in that state of comparing, am I better, am I not? And that becomes how you're moving through the world.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
That's tough.
And then, of course, there's, which we all know, there's those feelings of isolation and loneliness you get, from watching. And then the other thing is that we all know that that what you put on social media is romanticized, right? It looks better than it is. Wow. And when you put stuff up that you're like, I wasn't really in a good mood that day, but like I had the best day ever. Wow. We know that about ourselves, and we know it to be true for other people, but we don't feel it for other people. So we just feel it for ourselves, and for others, we don't really carry that same energy. We have the knowing, but we don't have the same energy of like, oh, they're not what you're really seeing. Right. So it's tough. It is one of the toughest, my favorite is like when you're reading a meme and it's like, oh, this is your message to get off social media. And I'm like, oh, that's funny.
Right. Like,
it's hard.
So yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah. That's crazy.
That's crazy. I feel like social media, like anything else, is a gift and a curse, depending on whether you use it or abuse it. You know what I'm saying? I think with social media, like, it's literally, they're all them platforms are designed to be advertisement platforms. You know what I'm saying? They're literally designed to keyword capture your attention, and they have no intention of letting it go. You know what I'm saying? So I find that like for instance, if this room was a room full of plants, which it really could be, you know what I'm saying? It's like a room full of plants, and your attention is like water. Like, are we gonna nourish ourselves or nourish each other with it, or are we gonna pour that shit down the drain and down into that cell phone? You know what I'm saying? If we do that, it do pour it into the drain, then you can't look up and be worried about like, damn, how the fuck everybody in such bad condition? You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't paying attention to nobody, you know what I'm saying? Or yourself, you know what I'm saying? So I think, social media, if you're gonna use it, like, actually use it for something. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like for me personally, like I to your point, the scrolling shit, I'm fighting an addiction to YouTube right now. I had to fast for it for like a whole month. You know what I'm saying? Like, I be on YouTube all day, and the cold part is I don't even be watching nothing, nigga. I got the video up, and while it's up, I'm just looking for another video to find. Burnt out. My eyes bloodshot red. I'm like, this is crazy. I look like a junkie. Like, I'm like, I'm wilding. So I'm like, yo, I literally had to fast for it. Like, you ask him, like, I'm like, I can't do it, bro. I had to turn.
Like, hey, yo, you seen that new joint?
I'm like, I don't even know.
I
be hurt too.
Joint in, bro, because I'm trying to show you the.
Nah. So I'm off of it, and what I found, like, in the time from being away from it, is so much time to myself. You know what I'm saying? To the point where, like, I'm realizing boredom is just not being present. You just looking for something out in the future, or you just trying to get to somewhere, but you're not really present. And so I find like being off of social media, like I said, just way more time to myself, way more time to like create. It's a lot more time to create. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm back to doing stuff that I wasn't even doing before. You know what I'm saying? Like I like the idea of knowing, like, if I ain't got nothing to do nothing. You know what I'm saying? That's cool too. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, go work out. And generally when I got nothing to do, when I'm bored too, that's because I'm putting off something I should be doing. So it's like you just more productive all the way around. And then by the time you do tap into social media, you got a purpose. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I'm here to do this, and then I'm off. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever case may be. So yeah, I think social media is definitely it can be poisonous if you don't got no self-control.
Yeah, I say the same thing. I'm not really a social media person, period, like myself. But like
lucky you.
My wife is. Like, my wife super, like, she love all that stuff. She love
blowing you up like that, dog.
I love you,
know
baby. You know what I'm saying? But now my thing is, I just take a different approach to it. Treat it like a tool, like he said. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially as artists, like, get on there, and if you want to learn something from it, like, study. You know, I don't know exactly what y'all do, but study what's ill in y'all craft. You know what I'm saying? Like, get on there and see. Like, now I be going on there, and I'm like, yo, I want to see these performances. I'm like, yeah, I want to up my stage performance. So now when I get on there, I'm looking to see how I could do that. So yeah, I say, you know, like he was saying in that element, you know, be careful with it, but it's cool too. You know, if you want to use it, however you want to use it, you can get some out of it. Mm-hmm.
So our last question before we move into the Q&A is, how can individuals with anxiety or suffering with any other, you know, struggles in life build and maintain a healthy support network?
Yeah. So, you know, I think one of the things that when people are experiencing anxiety and depression is that it feels so isolating and you feel alone. And, you know, sometimes I'll go and I'll do talks and I'll say something like, oh, I have a client who XYZ. And I won't say who the client is or nothing descriptive, right? But if any of my clients heard it, they would probably think I was talking about them, because that's how universal a lot of these experiences are. Even though we feel like, oh yeah, you probably feel sometimes anxious, you probably sometimes feel depression, but you don't experience it the way I experience it, or you didn't have the things happen to you that happened to me, right? So we just feel alone, but it's shocking how similar we are. So the first thing I would say is to help normalize it is share more, talk more. That's number one. And then find a good therapist. Like, there are affordable therapists out there. And I can't recommend that enough, because they'll give you tangible tools to help move through it. You could do group therapy, or individual therapy, and make sure that you're with people who you can have a lot of people in your life that you love, but if you're spending time with people that are draining your energy, you can love them. But if they are not adding and they're taking away, you want to be mindful and protective of yourself.
100%. Yeah. Just to speak on what you were saying, I never had like did therapy or anything like that, and actually for a long time I didn't even believe in it, to be honest. And then I started to see like I saw it was something. You know what I'm saying? But I know, like, for us in particular, we lived with there's two other cats too as well, but we lived with them boys, and one of the illest transformations I ever seen for all of us was, that was my first time. Like, it's 4 black men in this apartment. We all over the age of 20, you know what I'm saying? So, and we all come from different backgrounds, but you put us in this apartment and we talking to each other, and it's a lot of testosterone. It's one room, like it's very small, like it's half of this joint. Like, we all got a bed here, bed here, bed here, bed here. So it's forcing us to deal with each other. And the illest thing about it, even throughout the fights, once we learned how to, like, actually communicate in a respectful way, so that we ain't talking to each other crazy and we're not fighting every other day. But the once we got past that part, it was like, man, talking to each other, like, it's crazy how much somebody see you don't look well and be like, yo, you good? And they'll respond, yeah, I'm good. And they'll be like, okay. And just keep moving. But I know this, you know what I'm saying? Like, when my nigga don't look good, I can easily tell, you know what I'm saying? So if he say he good, but I know he ain't good, it don't hurt for me to just ask, like, bro, you don't look good. Like, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? And just listen. I ain't even got to give you no advice. My wife, she tell me that all the time. Like, I'm a solution-based person. So I'll be like, yo, what's going on? What can I do to fix it? Like, just tell me what the problem is. I'm going to try to fix it. And she be like, yeah, like, I love that you want to fix it, but sometimes I just need you to hear me. You know what I'm saying? So, like, you don't realize, like I didn't know how much it helped just for my mom to be like, yo, tell me what's going on. it wasn't nothing she could do about it. You know what I'm saying? But once I told her, I just felt like, all right, well, cool. Like, you know what I'm saying? I just feel a little better. You know what I'm saying? So I think if you could take the time, if you're not feeling well, or if you know somebody that's not feeling well, like literally just asking and just listening, I think that's always fire for sure. For sure.
That's fire. I think like for me, I think it's important to really take the time to yourself, bro. It might not like I'll be honest, like it was a certain age where I genuinely felt like a stranger in my own body. You know what I'm saying? And so it was uncomfortable for me to be alone. You know what I'm saying? Damn, honestly, like scary to be alone. You know what I'm saying? Like I'd rather would be. I got a twin, so I have somebody to bounce ideas with most of the time. But when I'm by myself, that was our biggest fear. Damn near, like damn, my don't leave me. You know what I'm saying? Like you know what I'm saying? Like you know what I mean? Like I remember when I was finding my spirituality. That was a big fear for him. Like, damn, he about to go and he about to leave me here. Like, at least we in misery together, damn near. You know what I'm saying? Like, so like real talk. But I think I would say anything, whether it's therapy, whether it's any type of approach. But if it's not pushing you inner, if you ain't going inward, then you going the wrong way. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's the only in is that we say in is up and out is down. You know what I'm saying? So like social media pulls you out. The way that the world is designed is to capture your attention to force you to go that way. But nothing is telling you to go this way. You know what I'm saying? To go inside. You know what I'm saying? So I think once you get to the point where you're familiar with your inner thoughts, and I would say like as far as that support system, sometimes you might not have like access. Like she said, some of the people that you love might be the toxic people. You know what I'm saying? But that's because the people that you might be around are vibrating at where you at right now. So up your mind. Like add value into your mind. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's the key for sure, in my opinion. Yeah.